It's Friday, October 23rd. We find ourselves in downtown Summerlin on a mission. On a mission to hit Warby Parker for... Warby Parker only sells one thing. So that's where we're going. We're going to Warby Parker. Then we are going to the Bellagio, where the 5K Diamond main event, I think, is going on into day 3. Nimi's in it, Owen's in it. I think Rampage is still playing. And we will try to jump into a cash game. So that's the day that I have planned for myself so far, but things change. So 5 seconds we spent in Warby Parker to pick up these prescription glasses. I was gonna say something like profound about my LASIK wearing off or something, but why? Let's just go to the Bellagio. For those of you that routinely visit Las Vegas, but always stay on the Strip, I'm sure you hear from Las Vegas residents to get the hell off of the Strip and go see other things. Downtown Summerlin should possibly be your first stop to seeing other things besides the Strip. You have shopping, you have Red Rock right there. Red Rock Casino has a nice poker room. Make downtown Summerlin a stop. Actually, don't make it your first stop. Maybe downtown Las Vegas, Fremont Street experience, all that. That's your first stop. Then the Arts District, that's your second stop. Make downtown Summerlin your third stop. Okay, off to the Bellagio. So we have made it. I don't need these things right now. We have made it to the Bellagio. We are going to walk next to the poker room and we might see a celebrity. Like Andrew Nimi, like a Brad Owen. They're all here. So excited.
I'm trying to touch the States this time. 2021. Yeah, show him I can still rap though. Now I'm in the game, I was on the bench. First I was renting, now I'm collecting rent. Run it up. First it with the Beamer, now I want the Benz. Spending all the bag like here I go again.
You might be wondering how I got all these chips, since it appears I just sat down at the table. Well, I'll tell you. Unfortunately, I didn't get this hand recorded as it was my second hand at the table and I wasn't yet situated, but luckily for you, I have Cartoon Me to tell you what happened. The table is in full here. 2 players are missing, so it's 6-handed. The cutoff limps, I limp in the small blind with Queen 10 of Hearts, and an older gentleman in the big blind raises. But it's small. He makes it $30. With this sizing, obviously, both players call. 3 ways to the flop, we see King of Clubs, 8 of Diamonds, Jack of Diamonds. Not bad. I flopped an open-ended straight draw. It could be worse. I check, the big blind bets $30, and again, both players call. No waiting. Ace of Clubs on the turn gives me the nuts. Out of position versus 2 players, and still without the betting lead, I check again. This time the big blind bets $50. The cutoff calls again, and I choose to check raise to $180. Our older gentleman big blind, who I had assumed would have a stronger hand than the cutoff, instantly folds, but the cutoff comes along. The river 7 of spades is a perfect blank. The flushes miss, and still holding the nuts, we bet $600. The cutoff now tanks for a while, fiddles around with his chips, and finally slides in the call. We expose our hand, and the cutoff doesn't just muck. He mucks and leaves the game altogether. Sad for him, but good start to our session. If only it had stayed that way.
Outside says chirp, not a camera phone. Told you I'ma keep the channels on. Why you acting different when the camera's on? Why you acting different like your paper long? 8-day wake up and I thank God. Bad decision got you wishing you could say nah. My city gritty, you could get hit any day now. On my mama, I'ma move my friendly way out.
About 40 minutes later, we get into the next hand of any merit. This hand begins with the older gentleman to my left opening under the gun. He played relatively tight, as expected, but when he had strong hands, he would go super hard. Also, as expected. The cutoff calls the openers $30, and we decide to defend with the 4-5 of diamonds. We actually thought about squeezing here. We have a hand that often does, and I have the suit I'd like to do it with. However, the under the gun player was giving me some real I have the nuts vibes, and if I'm being honest, I just chickened out. 4 clubs, ace of spades, 8 of spades. Making a pair is nice, but I still check. The under the gun player bets 1/3 pot, the cutoff folds, and I continue with my delusions of grandeur. Sometimes, however, delusional manifestations come true. 5 of spades on the turn. I'll have 2 pair, which is better than 1 pair, although that 3rd spade is a bit worrisome. Still not going to donk into the pre-flop razor. We check, and when he checks back, I'm pretty confident that we're ahead. Until, well, the 8 of clubs river pairs the board. Now we're dead. Dead. We check again, the big blind checks, and we are shown the winner when he exposes ace-10 offsuit.
20s, 50s, hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions, zillions.
The very next hand starts with a button limp, which is a bit abnormal. I limp the small blind with queen 5 suited, and our older gentleman friend makes it $50 from the big blind. The limping button flees, and I should probably do the same. However, had I, this hand probably wouldn't be in the vlog, so using simple deduction skills, you've probably figured out that I continued. I called. And flop 2 pair on queen 10-5 with 2 spades. Default check to the opener, and he checks it back. I do miss a bet on the turn 9 of diamonds. Well, honestly, I didn't miss it. I was really wanting to check raise here, but that didn't come to fruition as he checks it back again. The river queen of hearts gives me a full house, and I probably shouldn't check again. I lead here for $130, and after some thinking, the big blind finds the call. I show my full house, and he shows me that I probably should have made more money in this hand when he tables ace-queen offsuit.
I'm talking Amazon money, talking so much money I could mess around and buy Amazon. I've been winning, I'm like, why me?
An orbit or so later, we find ourselves on the button opening ace-5 of spades to $30. The small blind comes along, the big blind does not, and we see a flop heads up. The small blind checks, and although we haven't connected with this board in any meaningful way, we still have the betting lead and a hand that we can easily just dump if we meet any significant resistance. The small blind's calling range should be a lot of pocket pairs and ace-high type hands, both of which can't stand much heat being thrown their way. That being said, we bet a bit larger, $40 into the $70 pot, and the small blind folds.
I've been winning, I'm like, why me? I heard these labels wanna buy me. I don't need you.
In the hand following ace-5 suited, we open queen 10 offsuit in the cutoff, and again only get action from the small blind. Different person, different gender, same position. This board, unlike the last one, connects with the small blind calling range a bit more. It doesn't smash it, but there's definitely more connection. When she checks, I'm still betting it. Having flopped the straight draw helps a lot. I realized the slight sizing mistake I made in the last hand and adjust it for this one. We bet $50 into the $70 pot this time and take this one down as well. When people ask me, what do you get from studying? How does it help? I typically point them to these type examples. 2 years ago, I wouldn't have known what to do on either of these boards, and whatever action I took, I really wouldn't know why I was doing it or what reaction I wanted from it. Studying has helped immensely. People playing poker aren't robots. They obviously don't do what a computer would do 100% of the time. But knowing what the theoretical action and response is, and then deviating from it when appropriate or when forced to, has been a huge plus to my game.
You're really, really, really starting to sound like me. It's scary, and I don't like it.
Another half an hour passes, and here we open ace-4 offsuit on the button, and the big blind calls. Ace, jack, 10 with 2 spades. The big blind checks, and although it's nice to have top pair, it's also nice to find some hands not to bet the flop with. I put this one in the don't bet category, and we're off to the turn. The 7 of hearts turn is checked again by the big blind. We decide to check our weak hand back, hoping to pick off bluffs on the river if he decides to bet, or bet ourselves if he decides not to. Either way is fine by me. The 3 of diamond river appears and the big blind checks again. We begin reaching for chips, looking to get called by a 10 or a 7, as I'm assuming a jack would have bet turn or river. But if he has a jack, that's fine too. However, before we can bet anything, he folds. We mentally note this behavior in case we need to leverage it later. This was one of the more interesting hands of the night, and by interesting, I mean insanely frustrating. Here, the under the gun player opens to $40, a tad large, and the hijack makes it $100, a tad small. We wake up in the small blind with ace-king offsuit and put in a 4-bet to $360, a tad small as well. The big blind folds, and here's where the frustration starts. The under the gun player goes into the tank, and during this tanking process, he picks his cards up off the table in order to show the guy to his right, my left, what he is getting ready to fold. This is clearly in my eyesight, and although I can't make out both cards, I see an ace. Then he folds.
Yeah. Turn those over.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. Why would you do that anyway?
I immediately stop the dealer and ask them to reveal the cards. The dealer reveals ace-10 offsuit, which shouldn't even be a hard fold, much less a show your neighbor what I'm laying down type hand. It's not like he's folding jacks or something, which by the way should be a fold from him as well. Either way, now I'm a bit screwed. Hopefully, the hijack just folds and I can win this hand without a flop. No luck on that. The hijack calls. Heads up, we see a flop of 4 of clubs, 10 of clubs, 9 of spades, and at this point, I'm done with this hand. My ability to barrel off here is severely hampered by the fact that I almost certainly don't, nor can I credibly represent having pocket aces. I check, and the hijack checks. The turn pairs the 9 and brings in the front door flush, but I don't even have a club. I check again, as does the hijack. The river 6 of diamonds isn't the ace I was hoping for, and I check for a final time. The hijack now drops $200 into the middle, and I have little option but to fold. Although I do fold, the hijack shows me that she had pocket kings. So odds are, I wasn't going to be able to successfully barrel her off those anyway. And that exposed ace probably saved me hundreds of dollars. However, I still found the hand very frustrating.
One player check.
I don't know if it is legally mid-session update time or not, but I know I'm out here talking, so we're gonna call it something. Been in the game 3 hours, maybe 4. I think I'm on the most passive table I've ever been at in my history of playing Bellagio 510. Super passive, limpy ridiculousness. So my table is super passive. They like to call a lot. It's a recipe for making a lot of money if you can make some hands. I did lose a chunk with ace-king offsuit from the small blind when an ace was exposed pre-flop, although I probably would have lost more had the ace not been exposed and slow me down because the villain had pocket kings. I just lost a, medium, smallish type pop with ace-9 of diamonds when OMC to my left decided to limp call pre-flop with ace-queen offsuits. So like I told you, passive. I just need to make hands. So we're going to head back in. Hopefully we're going to make some hands. We're going to make this work. As we head back in, as far as the Bellagio 5 Diamond 10K event goes, Rampage just busted. Brad and Andrew, however, are still in with 62, 63 players left. I think there's $1 million up at the top. So wishing them both the best. And I wish me the best. I want to have a big score too. Let's go.
A bit after the mid-session update, we find an obvious open with pocket jacks and the hijack and manage to get the privilege of a heads-up flop versus only the flatting small blind. Typically, the small blind shouldn't have a lot of calls. However, this particular table was so passive, almost everyone just called. Jack, deuce, 6 with 2 diamonds. In position with top set and the diamond blocker on a board that might interest a small blind is definitely a good thing. He starts with a check, and I bet a little less than half pot, and he calls. The turn Queen of Hearts should change nothing. However, now the small blind just leads into me for $70. What? I don't know what this is or what this means. I'm guessing either he has a set himself or he's trying to name his price for a draw, as there aren't that many 2-pair combinations available. Either way, the price is going up. We make it $250, and he doesn't exactly snap call, but he calls really fast. The river 9 of hearts brings in the backdoor flush draw, and honestly, I could have picked better rivers, but here we are. The small blind checks again, and it's unlikely that he's checking a hand that has us beat, so we need to go for value here. We do so by betting 3 black $100 chips. He throws a hand up in frustration, then folds. Poker's funny. Just when you think you have things going in the right direction, they go in the other direction. Here, the low jack opens to industry standard $30, and we find the defend in the big blind holding 9-6 of clubs. We check the jack 9 deuce 2 diamonds board, and the low jack again stays standard with a $20 C bet. We call. The turn 10 of clubs improves our hand slightly by tacking a flush draw onto the middle pair we already have. We check again, the low jack continues with another barrel. This time, it's the $80 variety. We call. There are a plethora of good cards running through our mind right now that we'd like to see on the river, and when the 6 of heart appears, we don't see it as a bad thing. We've missed our trips and our flush, but we found 2-pair instead, and a pretty hidden 2-pair at that. We check again, and again, the low jack bets. But he's so done with the $20 and $80 variety. He makes it $440 on the river. Yeesh. What does he have? Diamonds missed, clubs missed. I guess he could have raised with the gut shot, got there on the turn, and continued firing. That makes sense. Or maybe he has aces or kings and my hand looks very much like a jack. We think about this one for a while. Can't shake the missed draws line and find the call. Our $440 goes poof when he shows us top set. Damn, I didn't even think about that. You didn't think about it. Didn't think about it. It was right in your face. Of course that's what he's got. You didn't think about it. Remember back at the beginning of the vlog where I won that big pot on the second hand? Well, that profit is all but whittled away. We're still up, but barely. An upstuck tilt is trying to creep in. In this next hand, we open ace-10 offsuit from the hijack, and both the small blind and his neighbor, the big blind, find calls. Off to a flop of 9 of diamonds, 5 of diamonds, 7 of clubs, and now the small blind just donks $60 into both of us. What is this? It's sort of nonsensical. The big blind folds, but I'm in no mood for these shenanigans, honestly. I have 2 overs, one of them being an ace, and mama didn't raise no donk folders. We call. Justice is quickly served when the ace of diamonds appears on the turn. Or is it? The front door flush completes, and I have no cards blocking it. Don't care. Mama didn't raise me to be scared of no flushes either. We bet $120 when the small blind checks to us, and he calls again. Uh-oh. The river jack of hearts shows up and completes some of the straight draws. Well, this just gets better and better. What have I gotten myself into? Thankfully, he checks. I check behind, and he mucks when the dealer shows him that I have an ace. Maybe we're back on the uptick? Here, the low jack opens to $30, the hijack calls, and we again defend with gapped clubs. 8-5 this time. We aren't really excited about the king of clubs, seven of clubs, jack of spades flop, but we aren't mad at it either. I check, as do the other two combatants, and we're off to the turn. The turn 9 of clubs, well, that's a little exciting. We've made our flush and have a straight flush draw to boot. We check, the original opening low jack bets $70, the hijack calls, and we overcall. The river 4 hearts is a nothing. We check again, hoping they will continue firing shells while stuck in our trap. The low jack checks behind us, but the hijack doesn't. He fires $160 while fully immersed in the best trap poker has seen in a while. Now the question is, how do I play it? I decide to just call in hopes the low jack slides in as well. But he doesn't. The low jack folds. Before we can expose our cards and collect our winnings, however, the hijack shows us ace-3 of clubs for the nut flush. And we learn that 8 high flushes really aren't a thing. The very next hand, the low jack opens to $80. Yes, opens. 80. No straddle. He just opens to 80. We are in the small blind and look down at pocket tens. Not often raising with this hand versus the low jack, and definitely not when he's open to this size. We call. Heads up, we see a flop of 10 of diamonds, jack of diamonds, deuce of hearts. Our heart warms holding middle set, but we are nowhere near having a lock on this hand, and we aren't the gigantic sizing opener either. We check. He now bets $130, and we check raise to $380, and he finds the call very quickly. The turn 3 of hearts is a beautiful blank, and now we have the betting lead. I actually tank here for quite a while as I'm trying to figure out my bet sizings to ensure getting all of my chips into this pot by the river. I settle on $600 and get snap called. I mean, he calls super fast. Watch this again and take note of how fast he calls.
600.
Dude doesn't even think about it. The river 9 of hearts is whatever. If he opened with something like king queen of diamonds and just got there on the river, nice hand, sir. I shove my remaining $725 into the middle, and he's not as snappy now. It takes him 19 seconds to find the call, but he finds it. We table our hand, he mucks his, and we are back on the uptick. The remaining hour or so of this session was a bunch of nothing. Lost some small pots here, won some small pots there, but nothing of any merit. I was exhausted after this session was over.
Bellagio parking garage. We're done. We're done with the 5-10 game this Friday night. We are walking back to the car, and I'm not going to tell you how I did. I'll tell you how I did later. You know, because of criminals. Criminals are keeping me from telling you how I did right now. But trust me, I'll tell you soon. Ba-da-da-ta-ta-da. We've made it home. Quick wrap up is into that session for $1,500, out for $3,321, which was basically my night being salvaged by me flopping middle set and doubling up with pocket tens. Because although the table was uber passive, I kept getting best handed. Ace 9, losing to ace queen. I kind of got off the hook with ace king, losing the pocket kings. I folded ace king on an ace high board when super old man coffee decided to raise my flop bet. And that's about it. It was like a 6-hour session. We're home relatively early. It's 8 o'clock. I'm probably going to upload all of this footage. I'm going to get some food, and I might head back out. Maybe. So, if I do, I will see you later. If not, thanks for watching the videos. Subscribe to this channel. Like this video. Leave me a comment. I'll probably respond. And that's it, I think. Is that it? I think that's it. Okay, bye. So here's the deal. I know I have to stream at home tonight for WPT Global at 6:15. Can I do a vlog with 4 hours of footage? Let's see what we can do. Come on.
Hold on a second.
Basically, I just didn't lose any meaningful hand at the must move. I'm going to continue to not talk about wins and losses here in public. If you've been paying attention to this short vlog, you can probably figure it out. No idea where my car is. Want to see all the outtakes, fun facts, and behind-the-scenes craziness? Well, here we go. This guy that opened at $80 most likely meant to make it $40. The $10 chips throw a lot of people off when they first start using them. Friday, wow, that light is weird. Boop. It's about 8 o'clock. I am at, I folded ace king. I salvaged the night by flopping middle set of tens. I'm gonna unload all of this footage. I mean, it's only 8 o'clock. Ugh. Like him showing the ace like killed like what I like what I could do.
I folded a full house.
Did you? 10-9? Oh, pocket fours. I think I am on the most passive table I have ever been at in Bellagio. Unfortunately, besides the very... So far, we really haven't had that many hands. Second hand at the table, I turned the straight with... So we are done. We are done at the Bellagio 5-10 game. Picked up left. And...
Mornings are the same. I don't wanna play this game. Let me go back to sleep.